Let's call to order.
But then I didn't
Roll call, please.
Nancy Kupka.
Present.
lost it all.
Mike Davenport.
So
Here.
Sherelle Fuller.
Here.
Dan Nicholas.
Here.
Trey Pavasich.
Here.
Rick Pavanato.
here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Here.
And Haley Grubich.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item today is approval of minutes for the January 27th, 2020 business meeting and the January 27th, 2020 closed meeting.
So moved.
Terry and
I second move.
Joanna.
Thank you very much. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas. Rick Pavanato.
Hi.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the minutes are approved. We have a presentation of District 99 Education Foundation check to grant recipients.
Come on forward.
Oh, you ready?
Come on down.
Come on down.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Donna Dawson, and as I heard someone say that I am part of the Foundation Grant Committee, and I have the honor again to present a grant to Mr.
Parker.
Scott Parker. He's in the back there.
He's coming in that way.
Okay.
He's coming around. There he is.
Hi again. And so we were really excited to offer this, or for Scott to be one of our recipients for the great work that he's doing with the 3D laser printer. Right. And so pretty excited about that and the work that your students will be able to do with that printer. And we're going to look forward to seeing some of that work. Sure. But why don't you share a little bit about your 3D laser printer?
Sure. Just real quick, the foundation grant was for what's called the Glowforge, and it's basically a 3D laser cutter. We're able to cut anything from like acrylics to leather, different types of metals and woods. You can go all the way through, or you can go just certain depths. So I wrote it for my robotics club, but also for the science department and some of our STEM innovation classes. So they have the opportunity to use that up in the science department and just expand the horizons for our students and get them exposed to some of the 21st century tools out there that they can use, so that way they're prepared a little bit more for college or industry when they leave our school.
So again, thank you for submitting for the grant, and we would like to present to you a $2,000 check to support it.
Thank you.
And thank you to the Education Foundation for your continued support of innovation in our schools.
Always?
And, always.
Pizza War?
And then a reminder,
Yep.
Pizza Wars this
coming too.
Thursday, South High,
Yes.
from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. $10 get you 10 slices of pizza.
Yes.
If you buy the tickets ahead of time.
No, 8 slices.
Oh, 8 slices.
Still a deal.
Still a deal.
Still,
You'll walk away full.
price.
Yeah.
And you should buy tickets at www.pizzawars.org, and they're $10 until 4 o'clock on the 27th, and after that, they go to $15 at the door. So I would say buy your tickets now. It's a good time, and we will also take donations if you can't make it for some reason and you'd rather just donate to the foundation. You can also do that at that same website.
All right. Thank you.
And donations to the foundation and monies from the Pizza War go to things like this.
Yes, and
It all comes
they
back to
are
our students.
tax deductible because it is a charitable, we're a
Recognized charitable.
401(c). So,
Okay.
501(c). Wrong number, but close. Everybody-
Same idea.
We get the idea.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're about to go into closed session. I just want to go through, since we have a lot of visitors today, I just want to go through the agenda. We're going to do, the board is going to go into closed session for a few minutes. When we return, we'll have a reception of visitors' public comment that will be limited to issues that are being voted on tonight. Then we will go through recommendations and reports of the superintendent. We'll go through our consent agenda. We'll go through any new business, and then we'll have the second reception of visitors, which is public comment for anything anybody would like to speak about. Then we'll go through some communication announcements and some upcoming board meetings. But at this time, we need a motion to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the district, or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. The board will be continuing the agenda, which includes taking action when it comes out of closed session. No action will be taken on items discussed in closed session tonight. Do I have a motion? Terry?
Second.
Mike?
Thank you. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Okay, we're going into closed. You got a few minutes, and let the record show that Ariel Johnson joined us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. We are back in open session. This meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for comments from, is everybody back? Terry's, oh yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, Dan.
Dan, okay.
Dan, I think he
can rejoin us.
Okay, he can rejoin us. This meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for comments from the audience. This first reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board about any agenda item on which the board will vote. And I'm assuming most of you are here to talk about Mr. Brooks. We are not taking any action on any employee tonight, so we're going to ask you to hold your comments to the second reception of visitors. Is there anybody who would like to address the board on any action being taken tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to recommendations and reports of the superintendent.
All right, the first one is just to see if there's any further questions from the board and to kind of put into the record our response to the auditor's observations and recommendations. So in a prior board meeting, the board received our comprehensive annual financial report. Contained inside of that are recommendations from the auditors. Some of these are typical things they put in every school district's thing around cyber safety and sales taxes and those kinds of things. Nancy requested that we formally respond to each of those things and how procedurally we're addressing them. I've just submitted the report into the record so that it's there, so that there is a record of how we are responding to those things. But the board has read those. There's no reason to rehash all of them. If a board member does have questions, please follow up with me and I'll get back to you on any of those. But there is a record of those responses in the board record now. Any questions on any of that?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. Textbook recommendations for 2021. Rob?
I made it over here. Hi, just really quick, we just have 2 textbooks right now that we're recommending for approval. One for AP US Government, the other one for Math 3S. And then just a reminder, our process changed last year, so we don't display them in the lobby any longer for the 30 days. But like any of our curricular materials, they're available for anyone to inspect at any point. So those are our 2 textbooks for right now, and then we'll come back on March 16th and ask for approval. But if there's any questions between them, feel free to pass them along.
Thank you, Rob. All right, next is the PATH program, and our associate principals, Karen Taylor and Kelly Zerner, will come and talk. Oh, here they are. Hello. Are here to present on the PATH program, which is a program that we've been working on administratively for a while here to address some concerns that we have across the district. So thank you, Kelly and Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Taylor. I'm associate principal at Downers Grove South.
And I'm the counterpart, Kelly Zerner, over at Downers North. All right, so to just introduce you, as part of our equity work, it's our practice to analyze data to drive our interventions and supports for our students. Dr. Taylor and I asked our teams to review the discipline data and our current practices, especially in light of SB 100, Senate Bill 100. Our goal was to find ways to reduce out-of-school suspensions and at the same time reach our students who need us the most when they're struggling behaviorally. The goal was to help our students take accountability, offer supports, and implement restorative practice. Dr. Thiele said it best when he referred to our data. We should not have a good chance at predicting a student's experience based upon their demographics. So as part of our equity work, we developed a comprehensive program modeled from research, data, and our experience with our collaborating districts. Our program is designed to support our students by offering a tiered 3 intervention to students who would be otherwise suspended out of school 3 or more days.
And while our purpose is to reduce suspension rates and recidivism rates, our purpose really is to teach students the social emotional learning skills they need in order to make better decisions in the school environment. We compare it to learning maybe math. So in a math classroom, if you're teaching how to factor polynomials and the student doesn't understand how to factor polynomials, and you send them away from school for a couple of days and say, think about it, and then you bring them back with no reteaching or no equipping of other skills, they're not likely to be better able to solve polynomials. And so our goal in trying to reduce suspension is really more about teaching students the skills they need to make those better decisions. And PATH is a program to be designed to do exactly that.
So how does it work? It's a one-time intervention. It's offered in lieu of an out-of-school suspension for any major infraction that otherwise would be a 3 days or more. So they would stay in-house. It's a voluntary program. We partner with the student's family to implement this program. It focuses on restorative practice, which means that we're going to restore and repair and heal those relationships. It utilizes and it's grounded in the Y Try curriculum.
Through the course of a student's 3-day experience in PATH, they would participate in counseling and community service, restorative reflection planning, and planning for reentry. But of course, there would be incorporated in that time academic study time so that they don't fall behind in their classes.
All right, so who facilitates this? Well, we would have a PATH coordinator, a certified staff member with the appropriate skills. We're looking at a social worker or a counselor, somebody with LBS. That can also kind of work to bridge the communication gap. They would implement the Y Try curriculum. They would be the spokesman for the student between the teachers and their alpha team, their counselor, their dean, their social worker. And one of the most important pieces of this, it's housed in our in-school suspension, and our instructional aid specialists that we currently have in there would also support the program as well. But the key to the program and the key to the facilitation is it's not just you go for 3 days of intensive work. There's a follow-up of 6 weeks to make sure that that transition is smooth and that student feels supported.
So this next slide shows a prospective schedule of what a day could look like for a student in the PATH program. What I want to point out here is that you'll note that the arrival and dismissal time are offset from our general population by a bit, and that's because these students would otherwise be suspended outside of school. So we want to minimize the amount of interaction they would have with the general population in arriving and dismissing from school. Kelly already mentioned that this program would take place within the existing in-school intervention rooms. We will continue to run our in-school intervention programming as we have for more minor infractions. So PATH and ISI would, live in the same space. The counseling pieces that would be done to support our students who are there for PATH purposes would be done through a pull-out model into other existing office spaces, the group room, et cetera. And then with your support, we'd like to post soon for our positions, for our PATH facilitator positions, so that we can train this spring and be ready to start the year, the 2020-21 school year with our PATH program in place at both campuses. Questions?
How many students are we thinking that would go into the program at both schools?
I think it varies year to year,
Okay.
but it's our students who would otherwise be out of school. It's major infractions, so students who would be out of school 3 or more days, typically.
So maybe just going on last year's numbers, would that be 10 students? Or?
More, significantly more than 10 students. Yeah, I mean, probably 30 to 50 students, and it could be, 5 this week and none next week. It really is dependent on the infractions and when they occur and the frequency. The PATH facilitator, it's important to note too, though, that when they're not necessarily interacting with kids who are in that PATH room today, they're still following up on kids and supporting them, the kids that were there last week, and even 6 weeks ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then are we going to, because the timing is a little different than what our regular classes are we having transportation for those students before and at the end of school?
Yeah, that's a logistical detail that needs to be ironed out, but that certainly is something that we would hope that we would be able to provide through the district.
Okay.
It's something based on the need.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Typically-
it could, like you said,
Right.
1 week we may not have any,
Correct.
and then the next week we've got 10.
Right.
If something major happens.
Joanna, did you?
Well, I was going to ask about transportation, but I also just want to be clear. You said this is a one-time intervention?
Correct.
Okay, so if this happens again, this behavior, then what?
So that's the goal, is that we
only
provide the
happens once?
support, that we don't see the repeat offenses, that they have a mentor in the building to help guide them, and that's why we want that follow-up care.
Okay, so it's the follow-up.
The follow-up care is pivotal to this.
Yeah.
Are there any types of infractions that would make a student ineligible to participate in this, when we would mandate an out-of-school suspension? Substance or fighting or weapons in school, is there a certain level that we would not offer this?
So if it was an infraction, that would be potentially something that we would recommend for a possible expulsion or outside placement. They would not qualify. But if it's something like a significant fight, that would qualify. Because again, we don't want to see that behavior repeat, and that's something that we are trying to reduce. Something like insubordination would be a perfect example. We want to keep them in. We know sending them out isn't getting them the support that they need.
And I'm assuming the counseling would be customized based on the infraction. If they're
Correct.
vaping and suspended for that, we would provide counseling for that.
So that Y Tri-Curriculum will focus heavily on that infraction, and that counseling is the support based on the infraction in front of them. Right.
And the PATH facilitator will work in tandem with the student's existing alpha team, right? So it's almost, if you can think about maybe a student who's been hospitalized, they have a person, an educational liaison at the hospital who's supporting them there, who's constantly in contact with their school team and their home team, supporting their reintegration back into the general ed setting.
Proportionally, we have a small number of students going through this. How are you going to determine if the program is successful? What are you going to look at?
The recidivism rates.
So it'll be recidivism for each student? you're
Yes.
looking at,
Yeah.
compared to what it currently is? Okay.
So we'll analyze the data to make sure that the program's working the way that we designed and hope for. So it'll be under constant data review.
So in the materials provided, I didn't see, so we're not reinventing the wheel here.
No.
This is something that's been used successfully
Yes.
in other places.
Yes.
Do you have any information about what those successes looked like?
I lived it. So before, in my previous district, I had a program almost, mirrored to this, very similar to. And it was something that I experienced as a dean, having that as a resource, and absolutely watched. Did it work all the time? No. But did it work more often than not? Yes. And it's been going on in those outside districts. We sent our team out to neighboring districts to find out what they were doing to try to get that out of school reduced. And this is the research that we kind of uncovered as the best option.
So how we measure success is less repeat?
Correct.
So statistically, that's happened at other schools?
Yes.
Where they put this in place and actually the program's so successful, they're almost a victim of their own success?
Well, and yes, and you will watch, the goal here is to watch disproportionality go down.
Okay.
And it's really to address that need.
So we would get a report back on this a year after, and where we can maybe look at data and how it's.
Absolutely.
We
plan on
would
bringing
welcome
a
the
very
opportunity to be here in May 2021, telling you about the program.
Yeah.
Very
And how
good.
successful it's.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, thank you. Any other
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just a reminder of timeline, over the next few weeks, we talk about personnel and FTE allocations in each of the buildings.
I see you're adding
You can
one.
expect that this will be part of it. We're recommending 0.6 FTE to start with at South and a 0.4 at North, just to reflect the size of the student bodies. And then we'll evaluate it after the first year, if that's the appropriate amount, if that's too much, not enough. I mean, we'll play it by year and watch the data and see what we need to do. So,
Very good.
really excited about this.
Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee?
Okay, so this is the yearly meeting that we have for the review of school discipline policies. We have representative parents show up, members of the administration, and then there's always 2 board members that come and are part of the audience in the room and participate in the activities. So we're looking for 2 board member volunteers to spend an evening on, what date was it?
April 28th.
April
I would do
20th.
it. I would do it.
Joanna's in?
Joanna
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it.
and Mike.
And Mike. All right, thank you.
Pedestrian safety.
Pedestrian safety, you can see, I provided the board a link to the final report presented by the engineers to the Village of Downers Grove. That's pretty much the final report. So we've given you some iterative ones here. That's it, we're locked in. Also, I linked the Village Council video there. You can see their discussion on it. Overall, the village now works through their process, so they're going to take those recommendations and they will go to the village's Transportation and Parking Commission to evaluate and make recommendations from there back to the village council, and that's where they work through their process. Reminder that that report had some recommendations for us, particularly at the South High campus. The entrance on Dunham, we are still finishing up the engineering piece for that, but we're really close to bringing an updated plan and budget to the board for that.
That's for that elliptical.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, on the east side of the building. The recommendation for an entrance off of 63rd Street is still very far off in engineering. We still need some traffic studies. There's a lot of work to be done. Remember, 63rd Street is a county road, so there's more levels of government to work through. I see Mrs. Lester in the audience. She knows this firsthand. So that one's a little further out in the engineering review and all of those pieces. So you can imagine that one's probably sometime next year, next school year.
Okay.
We're bringing you details on that. So
I had 2 questions, and I apologize because I didn't reach out before. I didn't see if there was a decision made about reducing the speed limits on Springside and Dunham. There was some discussion about trying to lower it to like what it is on Main Street and for the north.
yes, I believe that was already. I can't remember. There is a
I didn't see it
recommendation
there,
in
though.
there.
Lowering the speed limits on Springside and Dunham.
I believe so, in designating them school zones, just
Right.
as they did in front of North High,
Yeah.
is in the report. And there's also a recommendation to lower the speed limit on 63rd Street.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it said 30 to 25, but that wouldn't go down past Springside and I don't know what they would say is the school zone.
I think it's 25 and it needs
They're
to come down to
25,
20.
and the idea is to bring it down to 20, like the recommendation.
Okay.
And then the traffic light,
The traffic light is still a year away.
Steel
We've been
costs.
told because they cannot procure the steel that would put
Yeah.
that they would attach the stoplight to right outside here, that it's a 48-month backward. So,
It's so hard to believe.
yeah,
It's true.
we all find that challenging, but we're not the ones that put it up there. So we have to
I know.
trust our other government organizations that they're working the best they can to to put it there, so.
And my last question, and maybe I missed this again, but we were going to, I believe, purchase the speed limits, the speed signs. You're
Yes.
traveling at such and such? 'Cause I noticed they're down.
We are purchasing those, the speed feedback signs,
Yeah.
like the large one that was placed out there
Yeah.
by the village at the start of the school year. We're purchasing permanent ones, not as large as those, but that will be out on 63rd, but we're still navigating where they should fall in coordination with the county and the village.
Oh, yeah, especially with the.
Yeah, so where the right spot is to put those and those kinds of things. But those, I think, have already been purchased, they just need to be installed.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if you put a traffic light at Springside here, that could change the speed of people traveling down 63rd Street.
Hopefully.
Anyway,
That's
you
the
know,
hope.
because
Yeah,
might be a
and-
mute point
Slow
to
down.
lower the speed limit eventually, so.
And that's part of what plays in with the 63rd Street entrance to the north side of the property.
Yeah.
Is that we need a traffic engineer to evaluate how that would impact
The
then a
light.
turn lane in. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
moving pieces here, so.
Yes, yes.
There'll be another traffic study that we'll be working through on that.
It's a good thing those traffic study people are busy, busy, busy.
Well,
So.
One more comment on this. I neglected to mention that both the village council and the village administration wanted me to take back and thank the board for all of their support in doing this work. And they commented on our administrative team's collaboration with them. It has been a great partnership. It's been great to work with the village on this and hopefully make a difference for our community.
I think we've expressed before, too, that we appreciate
I shared
all
that with them.
all that from the council and the staff at Village.
I'm still waiting for the
Get an
traffic light.
electronic sign, would be even better.
Harry.
Okay, fee, anything else on this? We'll move on to fees?
I have to always get my
Uh,
advertisement in.
Student fees. Mark?
Yeah. This is the graphic that is attached to the memo that you have. The original thinking was to not increase fees. We increased fees by about $15 overall when you consider the registration textbook fee. The green is what we're proposing for next year. The next column back is what the current year. And you can see, because the 325, the top number is bolded, that's an increase. That's how you kind of glance at this and find out where changes have been made. But we're only proposing to work with the interscholastic fees this year, and those usually involve transportation to other schools for competitions. And we're expecting at least a preliminary number from our transportation company is that we'll have a 6% increase. And we're trying to work that down. But we haven't changed those fees in 4 years. So it's about every 5 years we take a look at these, and we try not to hit those because those are directly related to kids, getting involved with things. But we're hoping that I think it's a $3 fee on each one. It won't be too cumbersome. And we haven't changed them. If you look back, we haven't changed them for 5 years. So for 5 years, this will be the 5th year. So that's the only thing we're recommending, and this will be an action item at the March board meeting.
I want to say thank you so much for figuring out a way to avoid having to raise the fees. On the extracurriculars, I've always felt like, this is something above and beyond, and anybody who's had their students involved in athletics and other non-athletic participation things outside of the school, they know how expensive, gymnastics and swimming and basketball and all these things can cost, and what we offer is a tremendous value. We really do. So not surprised to see that go up just a tad.
Yeah.
but
And we know
it's-
the kids are putting up with a lot with construction and things like that, so we just
True.
didn't need one more negative there with that, so.
Thanks.
Very good.
Master facility plan.
All right, some good news on the master facility plan. This is our monthly budget report on the progress. And the line that I keep pointing to month after month is that contingency line. That's kind of where we figure out if we're managing our budget well or not. if you remember, our bids for South High came in and we're about 5% above that, along with the unforeseen things we've had with some of the construction and soils and those kinds of things. When I met with you last month, our contingency had dropped down to about $4 million. North High bids came in phenomenally good, and our contingency, you remember when we started this project, was, you can see there, was at $7.78 million. We are now after 2 years of construction, and we're at about 95% of our bids in, so we kind of know what we're spending on this at this point.
It's great.
We have almost replenished our full contingency through good bidding processes. So we are in great shape heading into the final 18 months of construction. Remember, our goal was always to get every classroom and all of the hallways updated as a result of this, but we didn't know if we'd be able to afford it. It's looking more and more like we'll be able to come back to the board and have conversations about that next year. But we still have a whole summer of construction. We have a giant auditorium at South High to work on. We have some common spaces. At North High, we're going to be touching some parts of the building that haven't been touched in 90 years. So, you know, anything could happen as we get through that next phase of construction. But things are really pointed in the right direction. You can see here in that estimated at completion, the unlet are still the pieces that we're accepting bids on, and processing that. So you can see we're down to that last amount there in either one. One of the things that has increased a little bit is the last line, that $827,673, that's owner's fees. That is because we continue to find more and more asbestos. So bad news is that our cost for asbestos removal keeps increasing. The good news is we're getting a lot of asbestos out of our buildings as the result of this project. So that number continues to grow, but that's part of the contingency. We knew that was going to happen as we got into this. It's amazing the amount of products that asbestos went into in the past.
It's a miracle fiber.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It was. They put it in everything.
It was the sugar of the 50s.
Of construction, yeah. Tony, if you go to the next slide, just a couple other things we touch on month to month. We're still at that maximum contract value. That's the maximum amount that we'll pay according to our contract in that top left-hand corner. The remaining contingency we talked about. FF&E allowance, that's that, we started with that $5 million. So far, we've spent $600,000 of that $5 million. Remember, we will spend that whole amount. There's a lot of furniture and equipment needs throughout both the buildings.
Will we take some of that contingency if we have it
If we
left?
need to, yeah, that's part of why the contingency, yeah, we know that those needs are really high. Especially in some of the spaces we're touching, like fine arts and science and engineering. I mean, there's some pretty big equipment needs in those spaces. Culinary arts. And then finally, remaining contractor allowances. Remember, those are also somewhat contingencies. Mm-hmm. Those are as we go out to bid. Those are contingencies within the bids that if they aren't used, come back to us. We plan on those being spent, right? But we saw in Phase A, we received back over $500,000 in allowances that we didn't use. So there is potential that some of that comes back into contingency at the end of it, but we don't count on that at this point. So we keep you up to date on those from month to month. Last month, Phase C had nothing in it because we hadn't accepted the bids yet. Now you see Phase C has grown because we've accepted all of those bids for Phase C. Mm-hmm. So the rest of the budget report is there for you to peruse on your own. If you ever have any questions about any of those, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get answers on it. So, any questions?
Hearing none. Have we had any Freedom of Information requests?
We did, as we always do. We've responded and the reports are on our website.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there any item that anybody wishes to remove from the consent agenda?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move on. Oh, thank you. We need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes A, the personnel report, leave of absence certified, appointment administrator, appointments classified, B, the personnel report, retirements certified, retirements classified, resignations classified, and C, the financial pages, D, the educational tour, and E, the acceptance of the donation from District 99 Education Foundation.
So moved.
Mike and Terry.
Thank you. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Consent agenda passes, and again, we would be so remiss if we didn't recognize the District 99 Education Foundation. The last piece of new business is the Policy Committee report, first reading.
We met and we went through the policies. The policies are listed below. They're grouped by content area of the changes. Revisions are due because of responses to legislation, new public acts, and feedback. 2 policies in the other group also reflect changes recommended by administration or Shelley Anderson, the district's attorney. In all policies where Gina Zaccardi is named, her title has been updated to reflect her current title of Associate Superintendent. A brief description of all the changes and updated are listed. It's long, and a lot of it was
We're busy.
because of legislation.
Yeah.
And so press had to implement policies to address that new legislation coming out of Springfield. So this is only the first reading, so look at it. Any questions?
I've got one. I think I read that there's a requirement to fill out FAFSA as a graduation requirement. Can you give me a little background on what the thinking is? But why?
There was a law passed in the last legislative session that all students must begin the FAFSA at school.
Yeah, have access
What is there,
To ensure everybody's getting the financial aid there.
that potentially could be there.
Potentially they could get.
but to tie it to a graduation requirement?
The schools will do it.
That's what the legislators have chosen to do. So we're working through the process, starting with next school year. We'll have to have a process for that. So our counseling and student support services are working through that, how that process will work.
That could be fun, because I've talked to
Fun as
other
a
parents
word.
who've said, well, I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
and I've always done it, and I think it makes sense to do it, but I can see some people resisting that.
Well, and when you look at it, really, all the student can really start on their own is the demographic information, then the parent needs to get involved.
Right.
So I imagine a lot of the process here will be opening it up, filling out the demographic information, and that's kind of where you have to end, because at that point, a parent needs to get involved with the student, because all of their financial information
Or
goes in.
have shared their financial information, so.
But we would not withhold, we
Yeah,
would
I'm
not
not gonna
stop a student
request.
from graduating because it didn't get done, would we?
The parent can always opt out of any curricular expectation
Okay.
that's offered, but we have to offer that to every student.
Oh, okay, all right. That
Whether
makes,
you do
that
it or
makes
not,
more
it's up to
sense.
you.
Or it's one of
But it's
the,
on.
there were three points there about requirements for
Yep.
graduation,
That
so,
is a new state law,
wow.
and another one of the long list of unfunded mandates by the
Yes.
state.
Well,
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
Quite a few.
Thank you, state.
Okay.
Okay. Was that it?
Any other questions, please let Sherelle, Rick, and I know if any pop up. We'll make sure we address those. As always, I'll be sending these out to the full, all of our staff, because sometimes our staff see things in the revisions that they have questions or concerns about. So they'll have the next month to provide feedback. I'll let you know if I hear anything from anybody over the next month.
All right.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the second reception of visitors. This is the second reception of visitors, which is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. Individuals needing more time should submit their thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidak. Visitors addressing the board need to come to the microphone and state their full name. And these proceedings are being tape recorded for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes, and they will be on the website. I, the board's presiding officer, have the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant. Audience participation is very much appreciated. I want to bring up 4 additional points. First, you can see from our notes, this is an open meeting, not a meeting with the public, so there is not an opportunity for questions and answers. We want to hear what you have to say, but we're not going to, there won't be a dialogue back and forth tonight. Second, this is a assuming you're here to discuss Mr. Brooks, this is a personnel matter, and we have not and will not share any confidential information. So neither today nor at any point in this process will we share confidential information. The school is not allowed to share any confidential information, and no board member or administrator or staff member is either. Most of the board members have read every single correspondence that came through. I didn't even count them, through whatever time we got prepared to come here tonight. The remaining board members have definitely skimmed and read most of them. So we're glad you're here. We're really interested to hear what you have to say. We want to reinforce that we were elected to represent our students' best interests. And we're trying to gather all the information we can about every aspect of this situation. And in the end, we will hold to our commitment of operating in what we expect to do, the students' best interest. The fourth, and we hope that you trust us to do that. The fourth point I'm going to make, because I think we have a lot of people who are going to speak tonight. So I'm not going to take like a break during the discussion. So if any board member or administrator or student needs to leave for a few minutes and come back, please don't be offended. It's just, some of us are getting older and it takes a little time. Okay, who would like to go first? You got it, because I'm like, it's 50%.
Hello. I remembered my high school speech class and I practiced, and I was under 3 minutes when I practiced at home, so I appreciate it. My name is Cinda Lester. I am a resident of Downers Grove. I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of myself, my husband Henry Lambeau, and our 2 children. I'm aware that the DGS administration has decided not to renew the teaching contract of Mr. DeJuan Brooks, band director at DGS. While I'm not privy to all of the reasons behind their decision, nor should I be, I can tell you that this is a monumental mistake, and will be devastating to the students within the music program and the entire DGS community. I respectfully request, as I sent in my email previously, that the renewal of Mr. DeJuan Brooks' teaching contract be added as an agenda item to the March 16th meeting. This will, prior to making your final decision, offer a level of conversation which is not allowed in public comments portion of a meeting like tonight. In the meantime, I have a few words to share today. Do any of you know of Mr. Brooks? I know you're not allowed to answer me, but you cannot. Even if you don't, I'm sure each one of you remembers that one great teacher, coach, friend in your own life, the one who made school not so difficult, not so miserable, the one who listened, the one who always made you smile. Mr. Brooks is that guy for my kids and so many. Right. Thank you. He's a fabulous musician, teacher, and leader, but he's an even better person. He is a mentor, a sounding board, and the sole person in many DGS students' lives that they feel that they can talk to. As an openly proud gay black man, he is the picture of representation matters that DGS and our entire district needs. His office and band room are often filled with students who have no affiliation with the music department, but know that he offers a safe space. I don't know of any other room or any department in the building that are filled with students during every free period throughout the day, before school, after school, and on the weekends, and late nights. My children are at percussion ensemble practice right now. Mr. Brooks has single-handedly taken our marching Mustangs from a good band to the Illinois state champion great band in 2 seasons. That's practically unheard of. His jazz band tied for first place just a few weeks ago. Our concert, symphonic, and wind bands are sonically incredible. As a side note, there is a concert tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So please feel free to come and witness Mr. Brooks' influence. These bands didn't become that way overnight. It came with hours of hard work, weeks of summer camps, months of practices, and 2 years of solid dedication from his students who love him and want to do their best for him. I'm talking faster. I know, I slow down. At virtually every competition I attended this year, and that was all of them, as the students here can attest, we heard other directors, judges comment how incredible our sound was from such a small band.
Mrs. Lister, I'm so sorry.
I know. Please just let me finish.
We have a lot of people.
I am speaking. I can tell you of the students, there's going to likely be 4 of them speaking. I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm almost done.
I absolutely, totally appreciate it. And if you would like to give us your notes.
Then I will give it to someone else to finish reading my notes then.
That would be fine. But we do have to keep to 3 minutes.
I'll continue this. He has high standards.
Your name, sir?
I'm sorry, excuse me. Daniel Becker.
Thank you.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
It's been a long
I wasn't
day.
ready for this.
Well, we've got, and I'm just gonna, before you start, I'm just gonna, just because we have so many people who are gonna talk, and I said I was gonna be able to change the process, I'm gonna give you a 10-second warning. So you guys know, okay?
Great. We'll get through this.
Thank you.
Just a little bit here. He has high standards and expects the best from his students. Hard work and dedication, consistent effort are expected and rewarded. Bullying is not tolerated in any form. Be kind is the law in the band room, as it should be. I am a community member, a business owner, a taxpayer, a proud DGS parent volunteer, a vice president of the board band boosters, a band mom. I wear the badge of honor proudly, and someone who knows DeJuan Brooks better than most. Most importantly, I'm just mom. Mom to 2 front ensemble percussionists in the 2019 State of Illinois G6A Grand Champion Marching Mustangs, who are going to lose their most favorite and beloved teacher ever, and are absolutely heartbroken. I relate to this. 2 students are questioning their continuation in a band program without Mr. Brooks. Pick that up for me? Right here.
Yes, Lukas. Where is this?
My name is Lukas Davies. Losing a dedicated, energetic, well-loved teacher would be a tragic blow to DGS, the music program, and the Marching Mustangs especially. Please, I urge you to reverse the direction of the DGS principals and renew Mr. Brooks' contract. I and those in the room fully understand that personnel issues are private and should be, but we also feel that you, the superintendent and the school board, owe it to the tax-paying families you serve to listen to the leaders, the students who love and support Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. Mrs. Lester, could we have your, Mrs. Lester, could we have your comments? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Annie White, and I am a freshman at Downers Grove South. This past season, I marched piccolo, and it was an amazing experience. Mr. Brooks is a truly wonderful person, and it is reflected among his band. But as I marched, I've always felt I could strive for more in years to come, something that Mr. Brooks always encouraged above all his students. I recently started to go to leadership meetings so I could fulfill this need and want for more and more that I could do. Something I discovered when attending these was how much of a family this program is, something that Mr. Brooks often stresses. Mr. Brooks wants everyone in the band program to feel at home and loved, which is something that no one is unknown to. Everyone knows that the band room is a place that everyone can be at home. I could go on all night about the amazing things that the band has accomplished under Mr. Brooks' guidance this past year, but as I said, overall, just the family of the band room and the family that Mr. Brooks provides his students is phenomenal, unlike I've ever experienced with any teacher, friend, or just anyone overall. Mr. Brooks doesn't treat his students like just students. He teaches us so much. As Mrs. Lester said, we've come so far as a band in just a few years, but he teaches us about being good people and leadership and emphasis on family. In this past year, I feel that I have grown so much as a person, and I feel that the continuation of Mr. Brooks's contract will allow me to continue that growth and strive to be the best person I am.
My name is Nathan Casey. Thank you for having me. I'm a sophomore at Downers Grove High School, and I'm going to be speaking to you today about the injustices of not renewing Mr. Brooks's contract. To begin, the renewal of his contract is important because he has helped change the lives of people at this school, including me. I came to this school after switching districts because of the death of my father, and due to that, I did not know anyone. This made it difficult for me to make friends at school. And so I spent most of the school year all alone and little to no friends. I was too scared to get involved with any school activities or get to know any people. But Mr. Brooks came into my life, and he sat there every day and tried to cheer me up and worked only a little. Then one day he came up to me and told me to join the marching band. I was a bit nervous when I showed up, but Mr. Brooks was there to help me feel comfortable and feel at home and sort of fit in. Due to this, he helped me come out of my shell I was in and become who I am today. Him bringing me into marching band gave me a family and a home at school. Without him, I would not be as confident young man and an outgoing person. He has helped me get places in my life, and he has had done the same for others around me. So not renewing his contract would be a major loss to the school and the students that go in and out of band.
My name is Elena Garcia, A-L-A-I-N-A. I'm currently a junior at South High School and also the head drum major of the Marching Mustangs. To be honest, at first I had an entire testimony for me to read off of, but then last minute I just had a thought. Okay, Elena, there's seriously no way to summarize such a phenomenal and brilliant teacher and person in such a tiny paragraph, let alone 3 minutes. So I made some bullet points instead, and I guess I'm winging it now. Not really. So I've been in both marching band and band for the entirety of my high school career, and I intend for it to stay that way. Mr. Brooks became a part of the music department a little into the beginning of 2018. Before the actual school year started, he worked with the Marching Mustangs on their new show entitled Forward. I was a marching sophomore back then, still a little shy, soft-spoken, and quite hesitant to take the initiative. Long story short, I never believed in myself and never pictured me as a leader whatsoever. Fast forward to the middle of the season. Mr. Brooks was walking past me during a lunch break, and I remember this clearly. He was talking to one of his colleagues, and he said, "That's my future drum major right there." This statement changed my life for the better. Because of that, because of the way that Mr. Brooks believed in me, I started believing in myself. And this one moment is just one of the hundreds of memories I have of Mr. Brooks. I can speak for the entire band community and music people or music department, or yes, in general. And I can say that we're incredibly grateful for the tremendous growth that he has caused our music program to endure. And we're also thankful for his never-ending efforts because he's the most passionate and willing person I've ever met. I know this probably won't change anything, and in fact, unfortunately, I need more fingers to count the number of times in which people have told me, you know, this probably won't work out, right? And my response to that is, while it may not work out the way we want it to in the end, at least we know that we did something. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Fisher, Fischer.
I play trumpet. I'm a senior. I've had Mr. Brooks for 2 years. I'm gonna read what I wrote. From the beginning of his time here at South, Mr. Brooks has inspired an immeasurable amount of change, not only in the music that we as musicians play and how we play it, but the lives of every one of us here at Downer South. Since having Mr. Brooks as my band director, he's turned into a major mentor in my life, and he's helped shape the outline of my future. He's taught me to continue what I love to do after I graduate. I'm going into music education. I didn't really know what I wanted to do before Mr. Brooks came into all of our lives, but seeing the way he transforms people's lives in front of me in the most positive way, I realized that that's really my passion. I've seen him influence so many people in this way, and I think that that's invaluable, especially here. Within his 2 short years here, Dwan Brooks has created, fostered, and upheld a culture of respect and kindness within our fine arts community that is and will be unparalleled to anything that anybody else can do for us as a teacher or a leader. I can say with complete confidence that keeping Mr. Brooks at Downers Grove South is in the absolute best interest of the current students here and the years and years of students to come.
Well, how's everybody doing tonight? My name's Payton Orcas, but I go by Ollie. Suits me way better. So Mrs. Lester really put it out there that there are teachers that, are always have your back, and they inspire something in you, maybe to be a better person, maybe to find a new passion. I'm speaking on behalf of Downers Grove South's rock band class. Mr. Brooks this year has taught it. As a student who's struggled with many mental health issues, including depression, that has sent me in the hospital for a month, I came back with not many teachers really knowing where I was, and it feels like not many people care, even to this day. And Mr. Brooks, the first reaction that he got when he saw me was to give me this ginormous hug, and it probably made my life, if I'm being honest. But there's always that one teacher that makes you feel like you belong and brings you together as a family. And for rock band, we connect through music, and that's something that goes deeper than words can say, in my opinion. I haven't really felt like I've belonged anywhere at Downers Grove South. Mostly just kind of felt wonky and out of place, like a wire hanger. I don't know. But I guess now that I'm back in the music program, he's inspired me to have a new passion for music. He actually worked closely with me on one song for our 90s unit, Creep by Radiohead. It was one of the most touching experiences I've ever had. I'm not comfortable in my own skin, and he's really helped me touch a nerve that's difficult for anybody to reach in me. He's actually made me feel something through music, and that's not something that's easily gained, so let me tell you. Please just try and listen to us, I guess. If you take this guy away from our school, I don't think you're gonna find a replacement that can really touch as many lives as he has. I really don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Nathan Steed. I'm a senior at Downers Grove South, and I'm also part of the rock band program. So all my years of high school, I've kind of been outcasted and never felt included until I came to rock band with Mr. Brooks. So he's really touched my life, and I have issues with self-image and actually thinking myself as a musician. And all the time I've known him, he's helped me with that. He's made me feel better about myself, and as a musician, he's touched me in just such an emotional way. He's made me feel so much better about myself and about everything I've done. I feel safe when I'm in his classroom, when I don't feel safe anywhere else in the building. And I usually don't cry, sorry.
Okay.
And if he's taken away from the school, many more students will not feel this loved and connected to by a staff member or a student. Just like I have, and just like Ollie has, and probably most of the rock band has. And I think it would be a massive mistake to take him away from the student body.
My name is Roberto Leuco. I am a parent of a student here at Downer South, and he's in rock band as well. He's been in 2 classes with Mr. Brooks. And I just want to really quickly tell you that we've been involved with both band, jazz band, and now rock band, and his impact has been felt, and it's been felt both academically, musically, and also by my son. Yeah, I'm speaking for him, and I'm speaking for myself when I say that I think he's an asset, and he's a very valuable person. So for you to consider, it is impossible for us to know what your considerations are, but just to consider the value of this teacher. He's a great guy, and I think he's a talented musician, a talented teacher, and he also is good at imposing discipline, which is important, and we all want that for our children. I think he's a model of an educator. Thank you.
My name's Samantha Torres. I'm a mom of a prior student here and a current student here. I have to say that personally, I have seen a dramatic change from the prior regime to the current. Over 100-fold. Mr. Brooks has touched these kids' lives in ways that nobody can comprehend. Never in my entire life. I think I'm 48. Never have I ever experienced seeing the impact that a teacher has on kids like this. I know to some it's just like, oh, it's no big deal. But when kids can feel comfortable enough in their own skin and they are comprehending and learning, being taught the morals and values that we are enforcing at home, and he just kind of gives them that extra boost. He's setting up our kids for success. He's not setting them up for failure, not on any level. I know that we are not privy to any of the details. We are not privy to the personal aspect of it. However, as a person who's been in the workforce, I can honestly say that he was hired to do a job. And he has met and exceeded those expectations by leaps and bounds. And it shows. He commands the attention and gets it freely and willingly from these kids. They work hard for him, and they give him 110% because that's what he gives them. And the kids said it right. If our purpose is to go ahead and teach our children and give them that groundwork, that foundation that they need to be successful individuals out there with a head on their shoulders, we as parents, as teachers, would be doing a severe injustice to them by not providing them with the best that they have. Because I've never been hired at a place based on popularity to make friends. I'm hired as a professional in the medical force to do a job, and I do it well. I don't necessarily have to get along with everybody because my patients benefit. And if he's doing his end of the deal and the kids are begging, screaming for you guys to listen, we're asking, just listen and take into consideration a different outcome for our kids.
My child hated DeJuan Brooks.
Excuse me, I have to ask you, what's your name, please?
Ruth Isla, Ruthilah, Bodley. I'll repeat again, hated Dwan Brooks. And the day that I met Dwan, my child made no bones about telling me how much he hated Dwan. And I talked with Dwan about it, and I knew exactly why my child hated Dwan. And I think it's probably why I'm venturing to guess that many people in here would probably say that they at some point in time also hated Mr. Brooks. And it's the same reason that my child absolutely loves and adores Mr. Brooks today. He has taken my kid who liked playing an instrument and made him into a musician. He has taken my 8th grader and made him into a high school student. He has taken a child who doesn't know who he is, and he's given him a place to belong. I'm begging you to stop and look at the evaluations of a good teacher. Listen to the words of these students and parents who are here because they feel it in their hearts. And know that I'm standing here because right now my child cannot. And I will tell you that the only staff member from Downers Grove South that has contacted me since August to find out where my child is and what is going on in his world and how he is doing just because they cared, that one person is also Dwan Brooks, who checks in with me once a month to see what's going on in my kid's life. Not because he has to, not because it's his job, not because he wants to know whether or not my kid is practicing, which he has asked, but because he's an excellent teacher. And an excellent teacher moves out of the classroom and into students' lives. You need to consider not just the squeaky wheels that might have made a complaint here or there, because let's be honest, we all have them. You need to consider the people who realized, maybe too late, that they didn't open their mouths and say what an amazing teacher he is every single day of the year up until now.
Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you for having more people than you thought you would at this meeting. My name's Jen Bloom. That's Bravo Lima Oscar Mike. I could come up here and speak the same words that our whole band community and DGS community are feeling right now at the news that his contract is not being recommended to be renewed. What I feel in my heart echoes immensely what these children, what these fellow parents feel, what your voters feel. But I'd also like to read an excerpt from a student from Romeoville who wrote in on how Mr. Brooks touched his life. And this was brought on by our petition, which amazingly has gone over 2,500 signatures in support of his contract being renewed. From a student, Hunter Simon, coming from a Romeo High School student, I've personally met Mr. Brooks before. He came in to critique our marching band and provide us help in an area we may have needed it. He shows an urgency to everyone to perform to their highest standard. He brings life and energy into every room and every marching field he walks on. He is very kind, supportive, and encouraging to all. Losing him would be a horrible mistake, and this is coming from one of our competitors. They want him on the field so that these marching Mustangs can carry on with their state champion title. If his contract's not renewed, we're back to square one. These kids have bled, sweat, and cried as they've torn up the ranks in our championship year. I'm not a band person, never picked up an instrument, so I have nothing to know. But what I have learned from these musical people is how much love they have, and it really is truly a family. I'm the VP of uniforms for the marching band. I always thought I was happy with just one kid. Now I have over 126 that I value. And I'm afraid that if Miss Brooks isn't back, we're not even going to be anywhere near that number next season. And your whole band program is just going to decrease. And from a voter standpoint, I'd like to say, I've been here for 12 years. We purposely moved to DGS's district so that my son could be in the band program. And this is not what I'm paying for.
Hi, I wasn't going to talk. My name's Julie Garcia, and my daughter is Elena Garcia over there. She's the head drum major. I'm alumni of Downers Grove South, and my husband back there, Paul, he's also alumni of Downers Grove South. We purposely moved back here to go to Downers Grove South so that our kids, my daughter and our son, will be future Mustangs. My son will be a future Mustang. A little bit about me. I am a registered nurse, and I'm also a professor of nursing at the College of DuPage. I have never seen this kind of response from students, ever. I've been teaching for 10 years as a professor. And to see this kind of support, not only online with a petition, but also people who are giving up their time to say how much they love Mr. Brooks is something that you guys should not neglect. Open your eyes, because if Mr. Brooks, we don't know what happened, but is it a possibility that you can allow him to remediate or change, knowing that he's placed Downers Grove South in a recognizable position in the state of Illinois? Nobody can do that. In the whole state of Illinois, he has placed DGS in a spot that has spoken so loudly and recognized professionally for music, for band, for marching Mustangs. I've never seen such kids have the kind of drive and dedication that I wish some of my college students would have. They are role models, they are citizens, they have the character, they have the integrity, they have the work ethics that we want to see our future leaders become. We are seeing leaders right here and now. I've never seen such hardworking students at this age level, ever. And I feel like it would be such a disservice to not work with Mr. Brooks. Whatever he's done, is he have an ability that you can remediate with him or give him probationary period? Because he's accomplished so much in 2 years. To let him go, is it is it a just cause, or has he done some kind of criminal offense? I know you can't answer that, but I just don't feel like it's at a point that you're gonna shut the door on him and have all these students who worked so hard every day and over the summer. Nobody does that. These kids do. And I feel like you guys need to really give them a chance. Give Mr. Brooks a chance to be able to do what he can.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Melissa Melendez. That's Melendez. So I'm actually not a band parent. My daughter is in the color guard. And I also am one of the VP of the Band Boosters. And the reason why I stepped up and helped with the Music Bowl was because of Mr. Brooks. It was because of Mr. Brooks. He inspired the children. We knew that not having someone in that position can definitely not help the music program. The Music Bowl is the school's largest fundraiser, and it not only supports money for the Marching Mustangs, but also the entire music program. Scholarships and clinicals all comes from the Music Bowl. And the way that Mr. Brooks has influenced all these children it definitely shows here today. Not only for myself, like I said, I'm not a band parent. I can't play an instrument. I don't know what goes into it. None of my kids will ever play an instrument. But we're here because the color guard is part of the marching band, and we care for Mr. Brooks.
Yes. We have the petition signatures and comments.
As of what time?
We have 2,603 signatures as of...
That's what's printed. It's 2,858 right now.
Okay. Well, what time is it now?
The board has
8:30.
also been provided the link to the petition online, so
These
they've all
are printed
accessed.
out, the comments and the
We'll
actual
take them.
names.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, well, I would like to thank you once again for coming. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to make it really short. I'm Christina Coyle, Coyle. I have had the experience of being part of the band program in general for 6 years. I've had one graduate, and I have a senior this year. I've had the experience in the past, and I will agree with Ms. Torres. The program from then and now has done a 180 for the better. I am very passionate about it, as you can see. But you please need to think there's always those people who don't like things, and it's part of life. We can't always have what we want. Just rethink it, please. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it works. Hello, I'm Anthony Rosalia, and I had no intention of joining marching band last year. However, I'll tell you something. It was Mr. Brooks who fully convinced me to join, and because of that, I think I made the best damn choice of my life. Okay, my bad.
It's okay.
He's taught us such good morals, such good values. He's given me all the confidence I need.
Obviously.
My heart's pumping, I can't.
Hello, my name is Sam Blau, Blough. I was not anticipating speaking tonight, but I thought about a time at right after the Victor J. Andrews High School marching band competition, where afterwards, Mr. Brooks had a little talk with us, and I don't remember everything he said, but I remember how his premise of the story was how he's faced so much adversity over the years and how he really believed in us. And all I could think, I started breaking down. I don't know why, but for the first time in a while, I felt like a family, because the first thing that happened after he stopped talking was, of course, I didn't want to be the only one crying, so I went to the band locker room, and two of the seniors that I had not talked to all year up to that point rushed to me and asked me what was wrong. And I started crying and hugging them, because it had been the first time in years that I felt like I was part of something bigger, a family. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy McGuire, and I was not planning on speaking tonight, but I think I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight if I couldn't share some of my comments. My son went to Montini. I'm the daughter of Katie. She's in the marching band, and she's 2 years younger, and we planned on, for Katie, of course, going to Montini as well, Montini Catholic High School, because we always thought it was it had a better standard for education and morals and teaching morals. And we had such positive experiences at Montini. We live just down the road here, and we hear the marching band every fall. Growing up, we've lived here for 20 years now. And Katie, because of her band, she wanted to be in band, she begged us to go to Downers Grove South. So we relented. And we're really worried the whole first year of her going to school here. And we questioned it every day until she started the marching band, until she started coming home and just a completely different person, just very happy and kind and loving and just starting to really get these moral values, which is what we wanted. My husband and I, we would always be worried, if she's doing okay. And now it's like been 180 degrees when we drop her off. Now my husband says, "You are so lucky that you can go to school here, where to have a teacher that loves you as much as Mr. Brooks." And it's hard to imagine my husband changing from not wanting her to go here to saying comments like that when he drops her off and really meaning it. And I don't know what you guys are doing tomorrow, but after hearing all these comments, I don't know. I think if it were me, I'd want to go into Mr. Brooks' classroom tomorrow and watch him and see what he's doing right instead of what he's doing wrong. And then maybe I'd have all the other teachers of the school go into his classroom and find out what he's doing to change these kids so much and change the hearts of the parents so much. Because I think that they're all doing something wrong.
Hi, my name is Lukas Davies, and as you can see from my sweatshirt, I am in the drum line at the DGS marching band. I was never a percussionist before high school. I was in orchestra, and I never really considered joining bands or any kind of band, mainly because I was never good at it. But when I came to DGS and we were selecting clubs, my parents saw the marching band and were like, "Oh, you should join marching band." I was like, whatever. It's something to do. And I wasn't really expecting it to be this big thing, and I wasn't really expecting to enjoy it as much as I really did. And when I went to the first meeting and just saw how lively and how energetic Mr. Brooks was, and how happy he made this what I thought was going to be a mediocre thing, I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and band has really changed me, and I was really in a point where I was stuck. I didn't really know, like, I didn't want to do orchestra, but I wasn't good at percussion, and I was like, what do? I don't know what to do. But he inspired me to keep on practicing and keep on getting through these long days, these long camps, because in the end it was all worth it, especially this past season getting first place in state. That was a big impact for all of us who participate in the Marching Mustangs, including myself.
Hello, I'm Nathaniel Bloom. I'm currently a junior. 2 years ago, I witnessed the change of switching band directors, and I do have to admit, even though I only had 1 year experience with Mr. Rosalieb, the switch was pretty catastrophic. There's a lot of people's relationships kind of like altered. Memories were kind of lost or put to an end, put on hold, and I was very scared with what was to be expected as marching band was. I didn't realize at the point, but I was starting to feel like it was a second home. Coming from a person who has divorced parents, it's pretty easy and hard to identify what is a home. And kind of going off of what a home is, I'd say the home is wherever Mr. Brooks is, mostly the band room. I have to admit, I've spent more time in that room with Mr. Brooks than I have probably at my own house. When you join marching band, everybody who you march with becomes your parent, or not your parent, your family member. But you start to form bonds, unbreakable bonds with people that you may still not know their name till today. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of just stumbling on my words now, but I sometimes struggle with confidence. And a week ago we had a leadership exercise where I had to go up in front of the whole leadership team and teach them something. I was not able to. I stumbled on my words and I froze. I later then went up to Mr. Brooks and asked how to build upon my confidence. Now, just because of that, I am able to come up here and actually talk about this disservice not only being made to me, but literally everybody else in this room. It's heartbreaking to hear that something like this is happening. And I mean, just take a look and hear from the other people. It's kind of just common sense at this point.
Hello, my name is Caden Sexton. I'm a trumpet sophomore player. So I know you guys can't answer questions out loud to us, but I still have a question for you that I know you can think about to yourselves. Hopefully you've all graduated high school to be on this board. I'm gonna make that assumption to myself. But anyways, I want you to think back to your time in high school and your kids' times in high schools. Was there ever a teacher that impacted Mr. Brooks like he impacted all of us? And also I would like to thank you all for having us this evening and for your time, if I'm not the last speaker. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? I'll wait. Go ahead, Tom.
My name is Thomas Davies. I was up all night. On the one hand, I had a sick child, but I did take that opportunity to just sit and think. And I'm torn between some opinions in my head. I could repeat everything that everyone has stepped up to this microphone. All of it would be 100% true to my feeling. I could do that. But one of the most profound things that kept going through my head last night was memories of my own high school. I'm from Lombard. I went to Glenbard East in the 80s. And there's this bizarre memories versus present day it doesn't make sense. I saw the worst human beings commit the most unholy atrocities against students at Glenbard East and work an entire career in a district that couldn't get rid of them or wouldn't get rid of them. Watched it happen, knew them. Jump forward to present day. I've witnessed over the last 2 years one of the most incredible teachers I've ever met. My kids are flourishing as the most incredible musicians they wanted to be. It's happening under his watch. And his contract is in danger of not being renewed? I am extremely confused over this. And I think it was stated earlier, this isn't what we're voting for, it's not what we're paying for. I was getting what I voted for and paid for. That contrast of my memories versus current day, very confusing to me.
Hi, I'm Aviana Rojas. I am a senior at Downers Grove South and part of the rock band there. And I know there isn't much I can say to sound repetitive, but taking this course second year, the first year I worked with Mr. Williams, coming into senior year, finding out Brooks was teaching, I was nervous, but it became one of the most amazing opportunities and experiences I've had with Mr. Brooks. Clearly I'm nervous, but with his help, he's pushed me as a vocalist to make my voice heard. And he's an amazing person, and he's a teacher that you look forward to seeing every day. That you say, I can't wait to be in this class. I can't wait to see Mr. Brooks. He leaves such a positive and amazing impact on his students. And getting rid of him would be a terrible idea because I had the opportunity to work with him. The marching band kids did. If you get rid of him, then you won't be able to find a teacher who can fill the impact that Mr. Brooks has did.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hector Torres, and I'm a senior in the DGS. I moved to this country 2 years ago from Venezuela, and I think many people don't know how hard it is to move from the place you grew up and to change the culture. You don't know the language, you don't know anyone, and I'm a really introvert person. Then I started high school in South High, and for a year straight, I wouldn't talk to anyone. I was really scared of being there. And every classroom was like, I would sit next to a person I wouldn't talk with for 3 months straight. And then I had the fortune to be a member of the rock band class. And I first thought, all right, this will be another class where I will sit with many people that I will not talk for 6 months straight. But it was not the case. Mr. Brooks encouraged me to open myself. He encouraged me to express more myself. And he taught me, and he taught everyone in rock band not only how to succeed musically, but also how to succeed in life, how to be a better person. Because Mr. Brooks, more than a teacher, he's a friend for all of us. And he leaving the school will leave a huge hole in the school, a huge hole in every student heart that is involved in band with Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lukas Davies, and I'm not really good at public speaking, but it's bold for me to come up here, but that's just how much I care about Mr. Brooks. And when I went into marching band, I can be a little extrovert, but mostly if I'm around new people, I usually just sit in the corner and just mind my own business. But when I came in and how welcoming Mr. Brooks was, I realized that this was like a place for me and that I'm like meant to be here. And he introduced me to people who I know and love and I would call my best friends now. And it'd be hard to think of a band program without Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Christian Harry, CHRYSTIAN. I, as a person, have changed so immensely just from Mr. Brooks alone. I went from being somebody who I personally thought was the worst player in the band to someone who now is musically competent and can socially talk to other people. I went through most of middle school completely just shut out from everybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Mr. Brooks came in for my audition in 8th grade and told me to come to marching band. I had always figured that I was going to join, but most likely quit just because my sister was in it. But Mr. Brooks was somebody who moved me, as I went from wanting to leave within the first week to wanting it to not end. I felt that he, as somebody who doesn't have a father figure in my life, is somebody who I can go to for anything. If I need to talk about personal issues, Mr. Brooks is there every single class period, and he is willing to talk to me no matter how long it will take. He is there after hours in marching band. He will talk to me. I will show up early and he will talk to me. And it's somebody who is very shut up like me and doesn't open up. I have opened up so much more just directly because of him. And I've met so many people who are now my best friends. Liam, Lucas, are people who I now talk to every day and I'm able to be with every single day. And I feel like without Mr. Brooks, I won't be the same person. And I just couldn't stand to be in the music program if I know there's such injustice and if I know that Mr. Brooks will not be there for me.
Hi, my name is Maggie Stucco. I'm currently a senior at Downers Grove South, and I was trombone section leader last marching band season. So I'm not going to repeat everyone, but I think that one of the most important things is that this just isn't about me. This isn't just about the current band program at South. This is about every past member so that they can come back and see the amazing incline of our program under Mr. Brooks' direction. I want to be able to come back next year and every other year after and see this program incline because I love this program and I love Mr. Brooks so much. I know that this program will not keep improving as I've seen it for these past 2 years if his contract is not renewed. His improvement on this band program is literally undeniable from the state championship we won this past season for the first time in a very long time. This is also about every future member of DGS and every future member of the marching band and any other band in middle school now or younger who will see us and want to join because of Mr. Brooks' incredible talent and our obvious passion and success on and off the field. There are so many petition comments talking about how future DGS parents are so upset because their parent will not get to benefit from Mr. Brooks in the future, and they haven't even met him yet. And that's how impactful and inspiring of a teacher and person he is. This just isn't about the current. This is about every alumni student from DGS who wants to see the best for their school and band program. This is about every future student for years and years to come who will go through band or just meet Mr. Brooks and be changed forever because of his musical leadership and teaching qualities. This is about everyone. This is about our whole school, current, past, and future. This is about our school and band program's legacy, and the legacy that Mr. Brooks is already leaving in these past 2 years is an amazing one.
Well, wait, before you do that, is there anybody else who wishes to address the board?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Steed Viveros. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Usually, I wouldn't be the type of social person to be out here. I don't get along with a lot of adults in general, but he's the one person that I actually feel like I can go to, and I genuinely do respect him as a person and as a teacher. I actually lost trust in teachers a long time ago, and he was the one person that he was able to gain my trust again as a teacher. In jazz band, we do a lot more than just play music. We learned lessons in life through the music. While we play, if we get nervous, I'm normally nervous when I do a solo and I mess up. And he doesn't give me looks of pity like other teachers used to give me as a band teacher. He actually gives me a look of, you can do it. It's okay if you mess up, just try again. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. And if he leaves, honestly, I don't think I would be able to trust it. Like, I feel like it's a huge mistake. I mean, so many of the kids here trust him so much, and I feel like I'll just be alone again like I used to be without him there.
Anybody else who has not yet spoken to the board that would like to approach the board?
Hi, I'm Rich Rosalia. I have 2 boys in the band program, and it's amazing when you listen to these kids right now, how much one person has given them belief in themselves. Incredible. And you think about it, it's not because this teacher decided to take it easy on them. He pushed them, and he made them work hard, and he taught them that. And apparently, if the rumors are true, a handful of parents didn't like that, so they complained about it. And 3 or 5 or whatever the number is versus 2,800, in 3 days, 2,800 people have signed a petition. And you hear these kids. It's amazing the confidence he has given them through hard work and pushing them, which they're going to need the rest of their lives. So think about that. One of the children earlier said common sense. 2,800 versus a handful. Yeah.
Is there anyone else who has not yet addressed the board that would like to? Hearing none, Ms. Lester, you have another few minutes.
I received a message from my son, Coop, who actually just finished band practice right now. Mom, tell them that they made a mistake. Tell them that I have autism. Tell them that I have anxiety disorder. Tell them that Mr. Brooks is the only one that cares. Tell them that Mr. Brooks knows how to make me feel better and calm me down. Tell them that I know Mr. Brooks wouldn't like it, but this makes me so angry I really need to swear. And then I can't read a whole bunch there. Tell them I don't want to be at a school without Mr. Brooks. I don't want to be anywhere without Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay, well, I'm going to say a few words. I'm going to, first of all, thank you all for your passion, for your dedication, for your thoughts. We are continuing to listen to all perspectives, those presented here tonight, those written into us, and those who have reached out to different people to express themselves and their experiences. I know this is really hard. I know this is really emotional. We're all parents. Many of us are band parents or ex-band parents. And to Mr. Sexton's point, I've been out of high school over 40 years, and I still think about Ms. Hawkins and Mr. Conrath and what they taught me. So thank you again for tonight. We're continuing to explore. We're continuing to listen. And again, I just want to reiterate that no matter what decision is made, because no decision has been made, we will ultimately act in what we think is the best course for our students, because that is our charge. So thank you again. You can continue to send in emails. You can continue to, we'll continue to review the emails. We'll continue to look at everything that's documented. We'll continue to look at what's the word I'm looking for? The petition and the comments there. Thank you all for your time tonight. It's very much appreciated.
Our students were so well spoken.
Yeah, really.
I just like to say thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to communications and announcements. Lend, Dan?
There's a meeting Friday for Lend, so nothing to report.
Yeah, we'll be there on Friday.
Oh, okay. I think that's going to take a while.
Nothing for Lend. You can go to the next.
Nothing for Lend?
Not till Friday.
It's okay. We're still informed. CSD, Joanna, did you have anything to?
Nothing this time, but Wednesday's the meeting.
I'm sorry, Wednesday's the meeting?
Yeah.
Terry, District 99?
Pizza Wars, Pizza Wars, Pizza Wars.
This Thursday.
And again, this Thursday, 5:30 to 8. And we have 8 pizza parlors coming. And as I said, tickets are $10 in advance, and that's up till 4 o'clock on the 27th. You can purchase them on the website, which is www.pizzawars.org. And at the door, the tickets will be $15. You can use cash or credit. And if you'd like to just donate to the foundation, because it would be wonderful if all of our board members would at least donate $20, saying that they appreciate the foundation in many ways. That would be greatly appreciated. And we hope to see you all there. So that's my commercial.
Thank you. Mike, anything on the Illinois Association of School Boards?
No report.
Okay, we have 2 upcoming. The next meetings will be March 2nd, the workshop meeting at 6:30 here at the Administrative Service Center, and March 16th, our business meeting will be at 6:30 p.m. in South High School.
And don't forget the dinner.
The DuPage dinner is March 4th. If you have not responded, please do so to Julie. Was there something else you wanted to bring up?
Well, our new director of HR was here for a while, but I think he had to leave at a certain point. So we were going to introduce him to you, but that'll be at a later date.
Okay, we are therefore about to stand in adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We're not reading a closed again, are we? I don't think so.
No, we
already took care of that.
Yes. I move that we adjourn for the evening.
Terry? I heard a second over here somewhere. Was it Sherelle?
Yeah.
Sherelle, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.